These are the fabrics you need if you want to make this design. I've gone ahead to make the inner of my dress, and this right here is the main dress, and I'll be showing you how to create this beautiful boo-boo dress that has a turn-up sleeve, and I can fly lower bodies, a cut together sleeve, and it also has like a belt at the back for extra styling. So if this look like what you want to create, stay through to the end of the video. Now if you're a beginner, you should definitely try this out. If you're a first timer over here, you are so welcome to this beautiful family. If you're a returning subscriber, how far, how you day, how things. Okay, so guys, I'm using a transparent fashion fabric, so I'll actually need an inner. But if your fabric is not transparent, all you need is just one fabric, okay? And trust me, this design will go well with any fabric at all. Now, first thing you need to know is how many yards I used in making this beautiful dress. I used 2.5 yards of fabric, and the length is by 60. So if you're working with a material that has a length of 60, 2.5 yards should be enough. But if you're working with Ankara, just keep 3 yards one side, okay? Now that we've gotten that out of the way, the first thing you need to do is to fold your fabric into two like you see on the screen. So we're folding this into two because we want to get a cut together sleeve. Like we're cutting the sleeve as well as cutting the whole bodies at once, okay? So when you fold it into two like this, make sure they are very equal. Make sure they are very equal. I used this side of the fabric because the other side was not up to my full gown length, so I used this side because it's up to my full gown length. I don't want any joining at any point that would be obvious, so I had to use the other side of the fabric that would be long enough to accommodate my body length. So you're going to place your tape, and imagine you have a start line on this fabric. Place your tape from the beginning of your fabric and go in by the length, the full length of your dress. So the full length I'm using for this dress is 64 inches. Now so I'll mark that 64, adding my hemming allowance, and then I'll roll across just like you see on the screen. So I don't know if you can see that tiny pink line, but that's the length for the dress. Now that we have gotten this, the next thing we're going to do is to split this fabric into two equal parts. Now after slitting this side, the next thing I did is to get my start line. So you can see that faint pink line at the very start of my fabric. That's my start line right there. Now after getting the start line, we're going to fold your fabric into two again. You're going to fold your fabric into two again. This will mean that we have 4 layers on our fabric right here. So I only use the floor to show you how many yards I used. So I've moved back to the cutting table. The instruction is fold your fabric into two again. That will now give you 4 layers, right? Now you go to your start line. We're going to mark our neck measurement. So for the wideness of the neck, I'm going to use 4. I'm going to use 4 for the wideness of the neck. Then for the depth, I'm going to use 2 inches. I don't want the neck to be too wide like the regular I can fly. So I'm going to use 2 inches for the depth. Please note that this particular measurement may not work for everybody. If you know you're bigger, then obviously your neck width and depth should be wider and deeper. Now I'm simply going to connect with my curve rule. Please note that everything we are marking is on the right side of the fabric, the right side, not the wrong side, okay? So now I'm going to be marking my bust line. I'm not going to be ruling across the line so that I don't stain the fabric, but please pay attention, okay? So I'll place my tape on the start line and I'll go in by 11 inches. That 11 inches is the bust line we're working with. So I'm just going to make a dot right there so that I'll know that that's my bust line. From that same start line, I'll go in by 16 inches. That 16 inches is for the waistline. Then 23 inches, which is for the hip line. Remember to mark on the right side, okay? I'm not ruling across this because I don't want to stain the clothes. But if you can, please use your ruler to indicate those lines, okay? Now place your tape on your bust line. We're going to mark the bust circumference, which is 36. I'll divide 36 by 4. Then I'm going to add extra 1 inch and mark that. So my 36 by 4 is actually 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. I actually came back to correct that thing I just marked. Now on the waistline, we're going to mark in exactly what we have on the bust line. So I'm going to mark the same thing I have on the bust line on the waistline. This is because we don't have zipper on this dress. So you want the waist of your dress to be free enough so that it can pass through when you're putting it on. Now go to the hip line. Measurement for the hip is actually 42. Divide 42 by 4, that will give you 10.5. We're going to add extra 1 inch, like I said earlier, and that will give us 11.5, and I'll mark 11.5. Okay, so we are going to connect from the bust line to that hip line. Now whatever we have on that our hip line, we'll simply draw it all the way to the hem of this dress. This is the front of the cloth though. You have to mark it on the front, on the right side, so that it will be easy for you to stitch down, because we'll be stitching from the right side. Now I'll turn this to the other side of my dress, and I'm going to mark exactly what I marked initially. So we're marking 10 for the bust. You see, I've corrected the 10 for the bust. Then for the waist, we're marking the same 10. For the hip, we're marking 11.5. So that's that. You're going to do this, mark both on the right and on the left side, because you'll be stitching from the right side. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but if you follow what you see on the screen, you're going to achieve the same or similar result. Whatever you have on the hip, you're going to take it all the way to the hem of your dress. I hope that is clear. Now that we've done that, we'll move back to our neckline, and then we're going to cut out. After trimming the neckline, this is what you would have. When you open your dress up, this is what you have. This is the right side. The chalk is visible on the right side, okay? Now we're going to start stitching down by stitching the shoulder lines, okay? So I've stitched down the shoulder lines, and this is what we have. Now for that neckline, the neckline is looking so small, but it actually passed through my head, okay? If you want yours to be wider, please make it wider for ease when you're putting on this dress. All right, now that we've joined the shoulder, we're going to pipe the neckline. So this is what piping means. We're going to use that tiny fabric I introduced to pin up round about the neckline like so. Once we're done pinning up, we'll take it to the sewing machine and stitch down. Once you're done, you use the piping material to cover up the neckline, just like you see on the screen. Now I hope you can see the pink line we have on the right side of our fabric. I'm just making it brighter for you all to see, because that's where we'll be shaping this dress on. Now from that point where you have your line stop, you're going to extend it towards the edge of the fabric. That will help us get the sleeve, okay? You can see that the sleeve is already showing. Now that we've done that, the next thing I'll do now is so now you're going to place your tape from the shoulder line of your dress. Place your tape right on the shoulder line. Go in by your waistline. So my waistline is 16, okay? I'm going to mark 16. Just watch what you see on the screen. I'll mark 16 right there. I'll do the same for the other side. From the shoulder line, I'm going to mark 16, which is my waistline. If your waistline is 17 or 15, go ahead and mark wherever it is your waistline. Now that we have marked that on both sides, I'm going to use my scissors to cut out the area between the sleeve and that waistline. That will now give us enough space for our belt to sit. So you can now see from that waistline all the way to the full length of the dress, you have that I can fly effect. But from the waistline all the way to the shoulder line, we are going to inseam. I don't know if that makes sense, but you see what I mean. So like this, now we have separated the sleeve from the I can fly ish effect that's on the waistline. After that, we're going to turn this to the wrong side. To stitch down the sleeve, we'll have to turn it to the wrong side. Okay, now I've turned this to the wrong side, and I'll go ahead and start pinning up the sleeve area, or from the sleeve to the waist. That's the only place we're going to pin up. Now before you pin up, make sure you leave ½ inch so that you can fix the turn up for your sleeve. Now I'll go ahead and pin up all the area from just the sleeve to the waist line. Before you pin up the waist area, you're going to add your belt. Okay, sew a belt to your preference and then add it to the waist area. We're adding the belt to the waist area before we pin up and then stitch down. So after pinning up, this is what I have. This is what it looks like. Now I'm going to turn this to the wrong side to stitch this down. So right now I've turned this to the wrong side. I'm going to put my belt inside. Make sure your belt is flat inside your dress so that you don't stitch any part of the belt you don't want to stitch. So just like you see on the screen, you're going to take this now to the sewing machine and stitch down. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other side, and watch where I actually stopped pinning. Once I pin from the sleeve to the waistline, I stop. Okay, because from that waistline to your full length, we're going to be stitching from the front. Now once you're done pinning, you now take this to the sewing machine and stitch down. Take note of the ½ inch I left unpinned. That's because we're going to be adding the turn up on that particular spot. So guys, after stitching, this is what I have. From the shoulder to the waistline, I stitched down. So the only thing that's left now is the I can fly area, which started from our waistline all the way to the full length. And if you look well, you see that pink line we have there. We'll be stitching that line from the right side. Another thing I wanted to mention is, you see my I can fly effect from the waistline. It wasn't as wide as I wanted initially, so I had to get the remaining pieces of my fabric and I extended the I can fly area. That's why you're seeing that the I can fly area is wider. You can even see the seams that I added. Yes, so that's basically that. Next up, let me show you how I attach the turn up to my sleeve. For the turn up, you need a fabric that is long enough to go around your sleeve. Okay, what I have here is actually more than enough to go around both sleeves. Now for the wideness, if your fabric is wide enough, all you need is just 5 inches wide piece of fabric. Why you're seeing my own in 2 layers is because the green fabric is not enough. It's not enough, so I had to add the white fabric. Okay, so but if your fabric is wide enough, there's no need to divide it and there's no need to combine it. So what I'll do now, I'll go and stitch down. I'll join the white and the green fabric together so that they will become one. After stitching, this is what I have. You can see that the white is not popping out at the front. So now we're going to pin this up to our sleeve area. following what you see on the screen. So if you're using one fabric, you should have about 5 inches like I have here, so that when you fold it you have 2.5. Then when you stitch you have 2 inches, because they have inches for stitching. Okay, so guys, let's fix this on our sleeve. This is our main dress. I've already gone ahead to start inserting the beads. When I uploaded this video, I was not done with the business of this dress, so whatever it is you're seeing is just a tip of the iceberg. Anyway, so you're going to get that turn up you created, and we're going to pin it. The turn up will be on the wrong side, facing the right side of your main fabric, just like this. Okay, because that white part is the wrong side. So I'm going to use pin to secure. If you're using same fabric, you know there's no wrong or right side. Anywhere you face will be correct. But me, I had to use an interface, which automatically became my wrong side. So I'll pin this up. After pinning this, we'll cut out the excess, and this is what it should look like. Before we stitch down, we're going to fold it up like this. That's why it's called turn up. We're going to turn it up like this before stitching down. So I'll repeat the same thing for the right side. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side rather. So after stitching down, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to stitch and iron it. This is what you have. You can see that I've also stitched down the sides. So now I'll get my hemming gum, and I'm going to use my hemming gum to secure the turn up. Okay, I'm going to use my hemming gum to secure the turn up, and that's that concerning the sleeve. All right, so right here you have your sleeve, and also I have already stitched down the I can fly area. Look at the way it should be. You can see that the seams are showing on the right side. Okay, and yeah, that's that concerning how I created this beautiful dress. So if you're using a transparent fabric like me, you should get what you wear inside. You may wear a leggings and a singlet, you get. But me, I decided to wear like a dress inside. Once in a while I may even decide to wear maybe like a leggings and a singlet inside the dress, depending on my mood or where I am going to. So that's that concerning this beautiful boo-boo dress that has an I can fly lower bodice.
My goodness,
See
don't
you all in
forget
my
to
next video.
subscribe.
Bye.
Subscribe. Subscribe.